So, yeah, I know you're kidding, but like, it's just kind of funny. It's like, have you seen Twitch? Like, I'm on Twitch. Okay, so this is the curious case of baby formula in the United States in 2022 cries for urgent action months after silence in the midst of alarm bells in food ethics by Jinho Young, Nicole Olink Widmar, and Brenna Ellison. Yeah, and how you doing, Vipers? I hope you're well. I know we've been trying to troubleshoot some streaming stuff, but yeah. And if anyone has not started following Vipers, Vipers is streaming soon. So we are going to try to give Vipers a few follows and a little bit of a little, running start on his streaming career. Is everyone... Viper says, mainly what I need is sleep, so I'm semi-coherent. I haven't slept well in a while. Case in point, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. tonight. Yeah, I mean, sleep's important for the rationality thing. They know that basically low sleep means you're more like you're drunk. Okay, so talking a little bit about the silliness of the United States here. And yeah. Okay, so let's find out what this is about. And as always, feel free to ask questions. This is a short article, so we'll see. Introduction. An acute shortage of baby formula was still an ongoing issue in the United States in the summer of 2022. The shortage of physical product resulted from Abbott Nutrition's voluntary recall of its several brands of powdered formula products due to bacterial contaminations from Chronobacter sakazaki or salmonella, and shut down their Michigan facility in February 2022. Abbott Nutrition, the largest infant formula manufacturer, provides 40% of the nation's infant formula, and as a result of its plant shutdown, the national out-of-stock rate for infant formula increased from 18% in January to 43% in the beginning of May, reaching 70% for the week ending May 21st. The shortage rate spiked over 80% in several states such as California, Missouri, Minnesota, Nevada, Montana, Louisiana, Arizona. While media outlets provided coverage in May and June of 2022, the warnings were ample yet unheeded months earlier. And this was, I don't know if where everyone is, this was terrible in the United States. We had to basically import baby formula, we can't, which is something that you don't normally hear a industrialized country having to do, because we can produce food for ourselves, but basically we were begging allies to give us baby food, we were some poor country that can't make our own food. It's just that we had put all of our eggs in the proverbial single basket that was the Abbott Nutrition Michigan facility. And so it was actually reasonably embarrassing, I felt. There's a lot of reasons to be embarrassed about stupid things your politicians do or whatever else, but this is just stupid. This was very stupid in the United States, and that's why it's being written about here in food ethics, but this was particularly dumb. The shortage led parents with infants to face uncertainty in safely feeding babies. The pain has been particularly acute for families with low income and nutritionally vulnerable infants, because Abbott Nutrition is the major supplier of infant formula for the government's Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children. In addition, babies requiring specialty formulas due to allergies, genetic disorders, digestive difficulties, or a variety of other reasons have limited options for replacements of formulas when they are missing from store shelves. Search cost, both in time and money, for parents to search for multiple stores challenged vulnerable households for whom transportation, childcare, and funds to procure formulas may not be available. Yeah, and there were stories on the news of people driving across states, and our states are the size of some countries, where people have to go many hundreds of kilometers, for all you non-United States non-freedom value measurement people. And so it's they had to go far, and it was not good, and this is why it was on the news and whatever, because it was dangerous. Over the past few months, the federal government and related agencies have diligently worked to resolve the formula shortage. Viper says, yep, the UK is about the size of Oregon. Yeah, so that's the thing. We have multiple states. Imagine driving, all of the UK. You drive That's a long, like going from the top of the UK to the bottom that'd be a long drive. And like imagine you have to go baby hunting for baby formula like that. That'd be bad. All right, for instance, the federal government cooperated with other infant formula manufacturers to increase production, implemented a process that facilitates the importation of infant formula at the U.S. ports for quick distribution across the U.S. continent, and called on retailers to set limits on the number of purchases to prevent stockpiling. In addition to the government efforts, recent studies make recommendations to deal with supply chain challenges and shortages in the future, leaning on lessons learned not only in response to recalls, but also to other events that may disrupt the supply chain of infant formula, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, and this is where I was wondering if we were going to get there, because this just-in-time business where everything is just like, the supply chain is very weak, but like it would just get everything just in time to the shelves when you need it, meant nothing was being stored in facilities, storage like warehouses. But that means you don't have to pay for warehouses, and so it was saving money. But like it made everything very, very bad because there was no backup. Okay, Abrams and Duggan propose a series of interventions to ensure that a similar problem does not occur in the future. They divide the interventions into 3 themes. Frank says profit versus resilience. Yeah, and everyone was doing profit because, United States and capitalism. And resilience is like, well, this is the problem. You just put babies' lives at risk because of the profit margins. All right, so 1, public understanding of shortages. 2, prevention of similar events in the future. And 3, support for breastfeeding families. Their first theme recommends consumers be wary of unauthorized information about alternative formulas in the online space, emphasizing the importance of releasing complete guidelines about the recall and safe preparation of homemade formula. The second theme relates to the shortages in the supply system and easier access to alternatives, specifying a need to diversify manufacturers for production of critical specialty formula and to develop a detailed database of similar products so that families or caregivers can easily identify suitable substitute products. Yeah, this is the warehouse issue. What do we have that we can easily get a hold of that isn't a problem? Essentially, the development of a database suggests an intent to reduce search cost for families. Finally, they point out the necessity of more breastfeeding supportive working environments and national policies allowing donor milk. Supporting, get more availability of food. Supporting breastfeeding is also addressed by as a long-term means to reduce the demand for commercial baby formula, although there remains unaddressed challenges to breastfeeding for many women and infants alike. Yeah, not everyone is in the position to breastfeed, of course. To the best of our knowledge, no existing study has examined the formula recall and shortage that allowed using online and social media listening and the lens of risk, disaster communication, and public policy. The main objective of this study is to identify how online media reacts to recall announcements versus physical shortages, and studies the shortage of infant formula through this lens. Social listening and online media analytics can provide insights into real-time experiences of large numbers of people in publicizing and then reacting to the recall shortage. Okay, so this is interesting. This is looking at the panic online, basically, and like what was said about it and what did it do. All right. Food recall announcements, public reaction, awareness to the recalls, and risk management. The formula supply shortages originated from the voluntary recall in February 2022. In February, the FDA announced the recall and informed consumers about which products should be avoided and how to identify recalled products. One of the FDA's updates on February 25th mentioned availability of certain types of infant formula and potential supply chain issues. However, search results show that online media, including social media and news, did not react to the FDA's recall announcements with increased volume in February, but instead rose in total media volume surrounding news of the actual physical shortages issues in May, around the moment that the out-of-stock rate of baby formula soared. Okay, so there was a massive lag because it went from end of February, March, April. So March and April, no one listened to the news until it became a problem in May. The timing and volume of media attention suggests that online and social media did not react until threats, in this case supply shortfalls, were realized despite recall announcements sounding the alarm several months earlier. Previous work found that mentions on foodborne illnesses in online space move closely with the CDC's initial report of foodborne illness outbreaks, which precede official recalls via FSIS or FDA. In both cases, online media reacts most strongly to the physical threat, illness in the foodborne illness case or shortage in the formula case, rather than the recall announcements, regardless of which comes first. Okay, so there's lag in message due to message severity. There's a greater lag for things that appear to be less severe. There was a much greater lag in information dispersal. So that's kind of interesting. Not surprising, but like the people react much more severely to very bad things. So foodborne illness or like running out of baby formula, as opposed to the warning. Granted, the warning is probably less risky because you think, well, people are working on this to fix it. But like people needed to raise hell basically in February, which they did not do, because people should know that how people react is due to pending threat, not like the threat of a threat. It's only the pending threat of like your kid is going to get sick, not, oh, your kid might get sick in 2 months. Because that, people do what's it called, the discounting over time, where basically you only can deal with things that are present to you, and once they do something, hyperbolic discounting, and the farther something is away from you, you discount the threat. How bad the threat poses. Okay. Online and social media net sentiment can be loosely interpreted as the overall positivity or negativity about a topic or set of search results. Net sentiment is necessarily bound between negative 100 and positive 100%. The net sentiment about baby formula during the first half of 2022 was mostly negative, with the top 5 negative sentiment drivers identified as baby formula shortage, run scarce, contaminant products, baby formula crisis, and cause. Net sentiment plummeted both in February and May despite few mentions posted in February, suggesting that at least some people expressed negative sentiment about infant baby formula early on. Figure 1b illustrates that most of the mentions are posted on Twitter. That was 90%, followed by news sources and others. This is consistent with findings from existing studies on crisis management in that social media reacts immediately to crises such as national disasters and foodborne illnesses outbreaks. So where's 1b? Okay, so this is the mentions. The net sentiment was here. So as soon as February hit, that's this stuff. Not highlighter. I need circles. That's this right here. This area. Oh God, let's not do that. Oh man, my colors are the same colors that they used because I have blue and orange. So it's like right over here. Like that was that. Okay. That's funny. It's so unusual. I get like my colors are the exact same colors. It's no one mess it up. Their graph. Okay, another notable online media behavior is that a sudden increase in the mentions in May quickly dissipated within 3 weeks, despite a continuous rise in the out-of-stock rate over late May through mid-June. Out-of-stock rates continued to surge even with an increase in importation of infant formula products in June. Yeah, so this is this, the mentions here is this blue thing. So this is the drop. Like this drop is what they're talking about right here. That it crashed even though the orange line is keep going up. While beyond the time frame of study in this analysis and decaying online activities of the public, the U.S. continues to face challenges in infant formula markets, as evidenced by the recent additional recall in October of 2022 by Abbott. Yeah, there was a second one not long after. That was only a few months ago. I remember that. People were just like, oh, okay, but we should have it figured out by now. But of course, what do I know? Maybe we don't have it figured out by now. This lessening of online media attention over time, while the threat is still persistent, is consistent with other existing studies for natural disasters such as hurricanes and wildfires and the Zika virus. Even in the face of significant threats, public attention dissipates quickly in response to even national-scale challenges. Given the importance of public awareness and information about alternative options during the formula shortage, the quick decay of mentions in online media may leave desperate parents underinformed or misinformed. This could result in the use of unregulated infant formula or over-dilution of formula, which may leave infants exposed to threats exacerbating the current public health problems. And this is, I know we talk about this all the time, but this is why the CT Win stuff on how the gamification of online social networks is so important, because they only do engagement. As soon as the influencers get tired, they have to move on to something else. And even if the crisis is still ongoing, people get tired and they can't use it to influence their followers anymore. And so people are not actually engaging with the information. So if you're using social networks that have their own priorities, then you're not actually going to distribute the information, or else you're going to have to game those systems to do it. But that's not good, because Twitter, it makes money off of engagement, and people get tired. And so you'd have to completely game the system to stay trending in Twitter, but that doesn't work because Twitter always needs something new. That's how social media works off the new, not necessarily sensational, but you always need something new. And people don't want to hear the same thing over and over and over again. And so either we need a different kind of social network, or we need to have a method of gaming the system, maybe from Twitter's side or the social network side, to actually get the important information out there. Yeah, and you can see this, a big drop off in mentions is what happens over time, even though as they show right over here, like this, that's like right here. Like this is where it should be, and instead it's all the way down here. So at the bottom, like there. I don't know if you can see my cursor. But like, yeah, this is where it should be based on the, like if it was just to follow the actual recall problems, how people felt about it. But the mentions are not even close. So yeah, it was all, you can see also the color here is hack the planet. What was the other one? Crash and burn, hack the planet. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, can the government strong-arm Twitter into saying what they want? Clearly, Twitter doesn't want to do that, or Elon Musk does not want to be seen as allowing the government to co-opt the Twitter platform, and I'm sure Zuckerberg doesn't want Facebook to look like it's co-opted by any things, but any governments. But again, if people are using this to get media out there, again, this is not what I'm suggesting, using social media for actual news. It seems like a terrible idea, because these are private companies that want to make profit. It is not distributing important medical information is not going to make them a lot of profit. That would be a public service, and so it's just like, that's not going to work. Oh man, I'm losing my hack the planet. Why can't I think of what were the other lines? Let's go watch that again. Hack the planet. Oh, they're trashing my rights. Trashing the rights. Yeah. Okay. Policy implications. The infant formula situation could have been somewhat mitigated if the public supply chain warning in the FDA's recall announcement would have been heeded by the public, relating industries and the government when the recall was first issued. Again, who's actually doing this? They should have raised hell, and they did not raise hell. Like, that's the idea right here. Frank says, I put it in the place I put that thing that time. Yes. Oh. Man, Angelina going into the boys' room. And see, what's funny is, in times, Angelina going into a boys' bathroom now would not get the same stares. But that was like the 90s. That was 1995. The Biden administration was not briefed on the formula crisis for weeks after the recall in February, and did not know how serious the infant formula shortage would be until April, according to Politico. Further, people in social and online media did not talk about the recall and shortages until May, when they became exposed to the physical product shortages and the higher out-of-stock rates. The lack of timely response, or even timely coverage and educational campaigns to help parents prepare, arguably worsened the panic when the physical shortages occurred, seemingly without warning for many people. Young et al. Previously studied online and social media responses to food recalls, finding that people immediately react to the initial announcement of foodborne illness outbreaks by the CDC more quickly and with more volume of attention than the subsequent FDA and or FSIS recall announcements. This immediacy of the response to CDC illness announcements was posited to help people avoid consuming contaminated food in a timelier manner than recall announcements. Well, yeah, there's going to be a lag on recall stuff, because like it just will be. Like, you don't want to eat something that's going to poison you, but a recall usually means, all right, you have to go look to see if you have it, all sorts of stuff. Efficient communication of recalls and the potential consequences, for example, shortages. But yeah, again, there's going to be a lag on a shortage of critical recalls is critical in the case of infant formula. In general, recall announcements are designed to cease distribution of contaminated products and prevent consumption, yet consumers are left with a variety of food options to replace recalled products. Infant formula recalls, on the other hand, are not only about keeping babies from eating contaminated formula, but also about finding safe formula alternatives that are accessible to families. Alternatives can be difficult to find, especially for infants with high specialized formula needs. Furthermore, accessibility can be particularly challenging given the oligopolistic structure of the formula market, such that when one manufacturer goes down, there are a very limited number of substitute options available to consumers. See, this is this is the other problem. It's that things that, like, when one manufacturer goes down, there are a limited number of substitute options. That's a problem. This is the supply chain manufacturing problem the United States has, and it has this across multiple industries. Given that FDA was already aware of the potential supply chain issues in February and included availability of certain types of infant formula, developing a method of more impactful communication may be helpful for consumers to prepare for future threats. Nudging can be suggested as one method of risk management. Oh God, no, that's terrible, but all right. Like, nudging is this sort of thing where you just put a lot of advertisements out and other sort of things in media to get people to realize that something's a thing. But like, that's just it. That's just a little bit of a push. You need something more effective than that. Okay. In this case, in order to enhance accessibility to recall announcements, sending alerts to individual media such as smartphone may be considered. Yeah, so it's like now we have a national, there's one thing I can't really fault Trump on, although I was suspecting he'd abuse it. Didn't happen. But he did set up a national alert that was, could be, used by the White House. I always suspected he wanted to, run his little coup by sending out alerts like go attack people. But for this sort of thing, if you could send all the parents in the country saying, hey, look, we're going to run low on baby formula, this is what you can do to like not have a problem, that would be less terrible, because then maybe people could do something. Considering people's predictable tendencies to stick to the status quo, it can be suggested that requesting consent for opt-in system of receiving text messages alerting food recall and related potential threats upon opening a new wireless account. Yeah, but like, I'm sure parents would want to hear about baby formula stuff. Like, they would opt into that. To avoid people getting too many alert messages, opt-in process can be more specified upon different situations or user preference here. For baby formula case, parents may be asked to consent to receive alerts upon births of babies at the hospital. This kind of nudging method is information provision, which allows nudges to be free from such criticisms on nudge as depriving autonomy. Yeah, because if you just flood social media with all these sorts of like hints, people feel like, okay, you're flooding, like you're just propagandizing the people. But if it's opt-in on your phone, to get like only official alerts about like baby formula recalls from the government, then people might actually do that. We read a paper on nudges depriving autonomy before too, on Philosophy Roulette, and saying, look, if you're going to have all this stuff that's affecting your online experience, and a lot of it is sneakily sort of pushing you towards certain political thought or certain products, whatever, it's basically undermining people's autonomy to navigate the online realm if everything they're doing is basically set up to push them in certain directions without them knowing. But yeah. Okay, materials and methods. Among various social listening analytic tools, the net-based platform was employed for data collection with search keywords identified by researchers such as baby formula and infant formula. gratitude mentions a la Cambridge Analytica. Absolutely, that's exactly what was going on. But like, for in this case, for getting the message out there that there's a formula shortage, as opposed to identifying crazy people that you can get to vote for you. Okay. The platform is a leader in social media search engines and social media analytics, and many existing studies have employed it. NetBase provides volumes of mentions, post sentiment through natural language processing, sentiment drivers, top terms, and other information over a certain timeline specified by researchers. Considering Abbott's voluntary recall and its announcements on FDA websites in February 2022, the NetBase platform was used to search the past 6 months from January 1st to July 4th, 2022, with the search limited geographically within the US and to posts in English. Spanish is a major language in the United States. I wonder why, if they should have also looked at Spanish language posts. That might actually be very interesting to see if the Spanish speaking community handled the recall better or worse than the English speaking community. I mean, for all I know, it actually handled it better. Like, maybe they had alternate methods of getting the word out, and so because it's a smaller community, maybe they have a more direct way of getting the word out. I wouldn't even be surprised that if they did get the word out, but again, who knows? I'm just making stuff up right here. Okay. Online media sentiment refers to the attitude, opinion, or expression of the general posters towards a topic, event, or phenomena. Exploiting NLP, that's natural language processing, words or terms are categorized into positive, such as safe infant formula, baby formula relief, neutral and negative sentiments, such as baby formula shortage, contaminant product, baby formula crisis. The net sentiment is a measurement of comparing positive and negative posts, arriving at a single metric for analysis. The single numeric value of the net sentiment is the total percentage resulting from calculating percentage of posts, positive posts minus the percentage of negative posts bounded between a positive and negative 100. Okay, so this was a little sciencey. I don't normally do, but this was a very nice little paper talking about how messaging gets sentiment. Control sentiment here in the United States. So like here, what is this? This is sentiment drivers for the infant formula shortage. Okay, so what is this? So these are the negatives. The baby formula crisis, you can see right here. This like going this way. What was all the negatives? Baby formula shortage was negative 33%, scarcity run 16, contaminant product 13, baby formula crisis and cause were 3 and 7. And so then the neutral, I guess, affordable for poor formula, reveal amazing secret oligopoly. So that was getting annoyed about the one factory going down. That's like right here. 13% of people were searching for that, and they're treating that as a neutral statement, basically. That they call that positive, which is kind of crazy. Safe infant formula 14%, origin 15%, refusal to no repair 15%. I don't know how that's judged as positive at all. Where there's a secret oligopoly, meaning that we basically don't have control over our supply chain here in the U.S. of baby formula. And so the refusal to no repair, I don't exactly know what that's in reference to, but again, they're treating that as a positive, whatever that is. So, yeah, that's interesting stuff. And it's like, how do we actually fix this? Well, we talk about getting the messaging out there without undermining people's autonomy, and the lag in the social media when it comes to actually the significance of the crisis. That social media is not a good way of having a sustained response to a crisis where you need to get information out, because there's only a giant spike and then it drops off very quickly when sentiment moves on. So even though the sentiment is there, but the mentions go down. So the social media sentiment is not the overall sentiment, but the social media engagement drops off too quickly for a sustained crisis. So that's an interesting problem, and sort of a messaging issue. How do you actually either game the system or use a different social media, or not via social media? So, but yeah, this is very nice, like, research in some sense. What is the ethics here? Like, again, what do we do about this, and why did this fail? Why did the response fail? Clearly, the government, the FDA, did not communicate to the people in charge efficiently how severe the problem was and the problems that it could cause. And then how we actually message important information that should be treated as fact and risk, as opposed to just, fear mongering. So yeah, how does the government actually encourage, not encourage, engender trust in these sorts of things? Like, what is it going to be trusted, and how do you actually trust the government in these cases? So, not so easy. Okay, any other comments on that? Otherwise, basically done with this